If you're watching us in faraway Johannesburg, South Africa, it's 9 p.m., it's 8 p.m. in Abuja, and also Lagos, Nigeria, and then also 7 p.m. here in Accra, Ghana. Hello, good evening to you. Welcome to News 360. And it's live my news up here at Desawe in Kanda. My name is Alfredo Kansi.
And I am Solis Rose Quarty. Coming up this evening.
News 360 Headlines is brought to you by...
Police begin investigations into the establishment of whether 3 suspects arrested with explosives are terrorists.
Now, no show as expatriate businessmen fail to turn up at ongoing cash for seat parliamentary probe.
Also, government directs public universities to halt planned increment in sale of admission forms.
In business tonight, fuel prices up by between 3 to 5% at pumps.
And on the international front, former president of Zimbabwe, Gabriel Robert Mugabe, set to appear before parliament over a $15 billion missing diamond.
Once again, thanks very much for joining us, and you can also get some updates of news via our website, www.3news.com. Into our first story for the evening, a private legal practitioner, John Darko, has charged Deputy Chairperson of the Electoral Commission, Georgina Opoku-Amankwa, to sue the Electoral Commission and the Economic and Organized Crime Office for undue delays. The Deputy Chair has been on leave for close to 7 months on the orders of IOCO following the body's role in investigations of her.
After 7 months of being ordered by the Economic and Organized Crime Office to proceed on leave, the Deputy Chair of the Electoral Commission defied the order and resumed work on Monday. That was an advice from her lawyers since the report of the investigations was delaying. She resisted attempt by officials of IOCO who had stormed the office of the Electoral Commission to force her out. Though there are no strict measures as to how long such investigations should be conducted, private legal practitioner lawyer John Darko says it should be done within a reasonable period of time.
Because of the rules of natural justice, sometimes you don't want a particular investigation to delay unnecessarily, because you see, us saying that justice delayed is justice denied. If you ask a person to stay home, let's say for 5-6 years continuous, when according to you are investigating, maybe by the time your investigation is over, the person would have retired. And so it should be within a certain reasonable period. What is a reasonable period, of course, will be determined by the circumstances of any case.
The Deputy Chair in October last year threatened to sue the IOCO for the delay in investigations, which is still keeping her at home. Lawyer Darko says she could still go ahead to pursue the case at court, especially now that the IOCO had given her 14 more days to stay at home for investigations to continue.
If you believe that the leave is taking on due period of time, is taking too long, you should be able to sue them to come and tell you why you should not return to work. They should tell you why the investigations they claim they are conducting haven't ended. And if they cannot, then they should tell you why you shouldn't return to work. And any court will look at it. If the court, for instance, had asked her to return, IOCO could have gone to ask her to.
Though Madam Georgina Amankwa has been at the center of the investigations, the case, which broke in July 2017, had other Deputy Amadou Sule in charge of operations named. The two were named in a case of some 480,000 Ghana cedis believed to have gone missing from the EC's Senior Staff Endowment Fund. However, our checks show that Amadou Sule has not been served with any letter to proceed on leave and is currently at post.
If we are being fair, then technically Amadou Sule should also be out. But you see, it is not just automatic that because you are being investigated, you should be asked to proceed on leave. It depends on the nature of your offense, or the alleged offense, and whether your presence in the institution or the company will affect the investigation.
Let's stay on this further. And meanwhile, the National Democratic Congress, NDC minority in Parliament, has expressed disgust and feels a sense of revulsion at the invasion of the office of the Deputy Chair of the Electoral Commission, Georgina Opoku-Amankwa. The minority described the act as crass lawlessness on the person and office of the Deputy Commissioner of the Electoral Commission. In a release, the minority stated they find it untenable, completely unjustifiable, that under the guise of conducting investigations into the matters such as an endowment fund for the Electoral Commission workers, a massive force could be used against an innocent law-abiding official of a body insulated against executive interference or control. On the afternoon of yesterday, January 15, 2018, the chief executive of the IOCO, backed by dozens of police personnel armed to the teeth and with armored personnel carriers, descended on Madame Georgina's office to evict her from her office. Okay, so the minority NDC in Parliament, there's a statement from them. I've been joined in studio by the Honorable A.B. Fuseni. He's a ranking member of the Communications Committee of Parliament, a member of Parliament for the Sagnerugu constituency. It's good to have you, Honorable. Now, you say, I mean, this particular act has received widespread condemnation. I'm sure the minority is also saying same, right? Yep. You say that it is rather quite intriguing that for the first time, IOCO indicates that it has submitted a report of the findings to the Attorney General, and they cannot wait for directives from her. Why exactly this particular position you say is curious to you, the minority?
Yeah. Thank you very much. My brother, the Dagumbes who have a saying that when the hyena howls in the neighborhood and the goat gets missing, don't doubt who caught it. It's clear.
So who caught it?
The hyena. It was in the vicinity. You see, we are intrigued by this particular matter, and that's why in the edition that you read, we say we are dismayed, because we are in a constitutional dispensation where the actions of both government and the governed are anchored on the rule of law and the respect for the fundamental human rights and freedoms of everyone. We dare ask, Madam Georgina Opoku, what is her crime? There's a suspicion that is being investigated, and IOCO itself had indicated that this investigation has been a subject matter that has raged on for the past 6-7 months. There is no legitimate basis for her continuous stay at home. Who has served her with a letter? The only letter that would have come, that would have given her the legitimate basis to go on leave, was from the office of the president. Nothing of that sort has come. And so as far as we in the minority are concerned, the actions that IOCO undertook yesterday was an act of crass lawlessness. On what authority did IOCO invade the EC premises and to put her office under siege? To the point that the IOCO boss went and sat on even the seat of the Madam Georgina Opoku. No, this is clear case of lawlessness, which must not be tolerated. And that is why we expect to see action from the executive.
What kind of action are you expecting from the executive?
My brother, the IOCO boss works under the Attorney General. And the Attorney General is an appointee of His Excellency the President. So, in the face of this crass act of lawlessness, we expect to see action from the office of the President. Some action must be initiated. Those who brazenly breach the law must not just allow to do that. And we have one too many under the MPP government, where many breaches have gone on. And they are followed with apologies, and you are asked to forget about them.
You see, I'm looking at your statement right now, and you are expecting that the president will act. Meanwhile, you are saying that in the paragraph 9 of your statement, that this brazen act of lawlessness, you lay it squarely at the doorstep of the presidency.
Yes.
You are pointing fingers at the president.
Yes.
For the act of IOCO.
Yes.
Meanwhile, you are expecting that he should act. Why do you blame
that? Is exactly why we expect that he should act.
Exactly. Why do you think the president or the presidency was behind the actions of IOCO yesterday?
You see, my brother, when Daria goes around the house, is looking for the landlord. All actions of appointees of government, the ultimate responsibility rests with the president. No, IOCO works, as I said earlier.
I get that bit.
IOCO works under the Attorney General.
That's established.
Yes.
My point I'm trying to make is that in your statement, you are saying that you suspect that Yoko acted yesterday upon the orders from the presidency. And I'm asking you that how did you establish that Yoko acted
we did not say expressly that they acted on the orders, but we say they acted in a lawless manner in the face of the presidency, and the presidency has not acted to call them to order. What I'm simply saying is that if anybody under your authority purports to act in a manner that is against the law and no action is taken against that offending body, then it will seem that you have given a tacit approval. And so if there's no tacit approval, we expect to see action from the presidency through the attorney general to bring Yoko and to order, and for the infractions of the CEO of Yoko. And so in as much as the action is not seen to be forthcoming, we are left with no other impression than to think that the presidency may have sanctioned what they are doing. If they don't sanction it, let the axe fall where it is.
I mean, I'll be dealing with facts here, rather than speculation. So that I mean, to the extent that Yoko retreat and decided that, look, they're going to rather sit with the person involved, and there's been a 14-day ultimatum to that effect, you would rather say that because there doesn't seem to be any action from the presidency, then they back what Yoko did. I find that, you know, quite
obviously, if a body that works under you and to you decides to take the law into its own hands and do as it please, would you sit down on consent? Because at the end of the day, the buck stops with you. At the end of the day, the buck stops with the presidency. So it is up to the presidency to let the axe fall if it disagrees with the lawless act that Yoko embarked upon. And I'm sure you have heard that Yoko has since tried to render an apology, which is an admission.
Judge Poko Manka says nobody has apologized.
Sir, if he did that, but the action of Yoko clearly to every well-meaning Ghanaian, it's a lawless act. It's not backed by law. And I'm just asked, on what authority did he invade the premises of the Electoral Commission? Especially when it itself admitted that it has submitted a report and was awaiting the findings or the recommendations from the Attorney General's office. So why the indecent haste? Why was it in such a haste to invade the offices of Madam George Nopoku? And that's why we say that to us, we are beginning to see a pattern of an attempt to hound some certain people out of offices. And we know, and that since this government came to power, people who have been legitimately appointed to offices have been hounded out of office.
There's a constitutional process that has been triggered. And so anything that would be the outcome of that constitutional process will be the outcome on the basis of law, not on the basis of someone's whims and caprices.
So that is exactly why we are intrigued, why we are amazed, why it is so shocking that in the face of this reality, that the Supreme Court is seized with this matter. And yet an inferior body such as the Yoko would arrogate to itself the right to go and invade the premises of the Electoral Commission and forcibly occupy the office of one of the commissioners. That is totally unacceptable, especially when this is still in the ambit of the law.
Thank you.
And we have a presumption of innocence of citizens before the law.
Until
you don't take somebody, make allegations against somebody and assume that that person is guilty. There's a presumption of innocence until proven guilty.
Honourable, thank you very much for your time this evening. I'm grateful. Honourable ABF Hussein is a member of Parliament for the Sagnerugu constituencies and also a ranking member of the Communications Committee in Parliament. They're talking about the minority statement on yesterday, what happened at the Electoral Commission office by the Economic and Organized Crime Office. Now, away from that, the Chief of Defense Staff, Lieutenant General Obed Akwa, says personnel of the security agencies will not hesitate to defend themselves when attacked. In the line of duty, he has been addressing the Aogo Traditional Council in the Ashanti region during a fact-finding mission to end the conflict between nomadic herdsmen and farming communities. Here's a report by Ibrahim Abubakar.
4 security personnel, including 3 military officers and 1 police officer, were shot and wounded by nomadic herdsmen during an operation to evacuate cattle from Aogo lands last week. The incident led to a renewed drive by government to remove all cattle and the nomads from the area. Over 200 military and police personnel have been deployed to Aogo and environs to enforce the evacuation exercise. Lieutenant General Obi Akwa assured the people of Aogo of a relentless fight to evict the herdsmen from the area to end the conflict.
No attack on a soldier or a policeman or any other security person, or in fact the ordinary citizenry of Ghana, shall go without a response. We consider that attack an attack on the state.
Queen Mother of Agu traditional area, Nana Dwaben Afrakuma Sewakusi, pleaded with the security personnel to execute the attacks professionally. We will rally behind the task force to ensure the conflict is resolved. Some cattle owners say they have complied with the directive but claim their cattle are being killed indiscriminately by the task force. Meanwhile, security expert Dr. Kwesi Enen, in an interview on 3FM, warned there could be an outbreak of diseases into the country if the appropriate institutions fail to check the health status of cattle owned by nomadic herdsmen crossing Ghana's international boundary.
If all these cattle causing havoc are owned by nomadic herdsmen, then a fair percentage or proportion of them have crossed our international boundaries. Now, the rule says every single cattle crossing our international boundary must have a health certificate of sorts. Let's check with the veterinary services. How many of these cattle have been checked and that their health certificates were in order, so they don't bring eradicated diseases back into this country?
Away from all that, the Inspector General of Police, David Asante Apietu, has asked Ghanaians and the international community to remain calm as they investigate the suspected explosives. The police investigations is to ascertain whether the 3 suspects are terrorists and if the 7 suspected explosives found with them are hand grenades.
There was panic and fear Monday afternoon as news went round about the arrest of 3 suspected terrorists in Accra. The men were picked up in different areas in Accra after police intelligence. The first suspect was arrested in Odoko, after which he led the police to arrest 2 of his accomplices at a different location.
Let me state that we believe the objects to be grenades of some kind. An investigation is underway to quickly establish the nature of the objects seized.
It is unclear the motives of the suspects. Unconfirmed reports have linked one of the suspects to international terrorist groups. But the Inspector General of Police, David Asante Apietu, says there is no need to panic.
I wish to assure you and all Ghanaians, as well as the international community, to remain calm as we investigate this matter of police seizure. The seizure is a result of police intelligence-led operations, and we are working together with the relevant agencies to get to the bottom of this matter.
The Inspector General of Police also spoke about steps to curtail the spread if the results of the investigation should prove positive.
Our investigation seeks to answer questions such as whether these persons are terrorists, whether they have linkage with any terrorist group, how they obtain the objects. Scores of investigators and specialists have been dispatched to various locations, and we are treating this matter with all the seriousness it deserves.
But what would the administration do to personnel who leaked the pictures and information on the arrest?
Anytime such a thing happens, we do the investigations. If the person is found out, we take disciplinary action against the person. But it's still a human society. There are sometimes lapses, but it's for us to do what is required of us by taking the disciplinary action against officers who misconduct themselves.
The IGP appealed to the general public to volunteer any information that would assist the police in their investigations.
Okay, so the President, Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo, will respond to questions from a number of journalists in the country tomorrow on the 1 year since he assumed office at the Flagstaff House. The event, which will begin at about 11:30 a.m., is expected to give journalists the opportunity to quiz the President on controversial issues which have cropped up in his first year in office. So, as you see on your screens right now, tomorrow, all the things being equal, the president is expected to meet journalists at the Flagstaff House tomorrow. So, ahead of that, you can also join us with your thoughts, your views, your comments, your opinions as we go on at TV3 Ghana, at TV3 Ghana. That's on Facebook, at TV3_Ghana is on Twitter. You can tweet us directly at TV3_Ghana, and then at TV3 Ghana on Facebook with your thoughts and your questions as well, and expectations that you have of us. And still go on. The Special Committee of Parliament investigating the cash for seats scandal has adjourned indefinitely because expatriate businesses failed to appear as witnesses. The committee sat for over 1 hour and adjourned without any communications from the expatriates, a situation the committee also fears would affect their work.
The public hearing was scheduled for 10 a.m., by which time the committee was set. None of the expatriate businesses scheduled to meet the committee was present after an hour.
To them, we gave them 10 o'clock to appear before us. Unfortunately, we've waited up until now. It's 10 minutes after 11. None has shown up. So we are unable to continue with the work of the committee for the day. So we adjourn and probably recontact them to appear before us at a later date to be determined by the committee.
It was unclear why the expatriate failed to appear, but the spokesperson of the committee said it had enough powers to compel the witness to come if it happens that they blatantly refused the invitation.
We have sufficient authority as a committee, and I believe the Ghanaian businesses, they respect the Parliament of the Republic, and for good reason we have had to adjourn. For any hearing process, you have a public hearing, but also an exception in camera, depending on the nature of what you want to do. So that has never been closed. So far, any of the parties who came before us, if they had wanted an in-camera hearing, would have been granted it on the merits.
The committee, which has been sitting since last Thursday, is expected to present its report to Parliament on January 24. The situation, he said, is likely to affect their work. So is the committee considering an extension?
It may be prudent. I can't speak for the chairman, but I believe when the committee meets, that will be on the table. We are supposed to be giving our report a week from today, or is it tomorrow? And there's an intervening weekend. So if the evidence is not all rounded up, obviously it puts pressure on us.
So far, the Minority Chief Whip, Mohammed Mubarak Muntaka, North Tong MP, Samuel Okujeto Ablakwa, Minister of Trade and Industry, Alan Chermatin, as well as officials from the Millennium Excellence Foundation, organizers of the Ghana Expatriate Business Awards, have all appeared before the committee. There are suggestions the expatriate business executives may not show up due to the political nature of the matter and the effect it could have on their businesses going forward. The witnesses who made the allegations, MP for Asawasi Muntaka Mubarak and North Tong MP Samuel Okujeto Ablakwa, still stand by the allegations. The Trades Ministry maintains it had nothing to do with the collection of monies, while the organizers insist nobody paid money to sit close to the president. Information from the expatriate businesses is therefore critical to the committee's work if the truth is to come out.
Now let's do some trending issues in education. And Minister of State in charge of tertiary education, Professor Kwesi Yanka, has asked public universities to desist from increasing the cost of admission forms. This follows reports of increases in the cost of undergraduate and diploma programs admission forms for the 2018-2019 academic year.
It's very, very unfortunate and came to me with considerable shock, I must say. And I'm going to issue a statement on this sometime today, but it's just as well that you called me this time to elicit my reaction. It is a very, very unfortunate development where universities appear to be taking advantage of the desperation of candidates who, after writing the exam, are anxious to enter universities. And I'm talking of public and private universities. But as I said, this is very, very, very unfortunate, and we are going to come out with a statement on this.
All right, so let's take a closer look at exactly how the forms, or how much the forms were sold last year as opposed to this year. Now, the institutions, we're looking at the University of Ghana, first of all. In the 2017-2018 academic year, we're looking at 180 Ghana cedis. But then for the 2018-2019 academic year, 200 cedis, so haven't been increased by 20 Ghana cedis. The UCC 180 increased to 220 Ghana cedis for this academic year. The Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology was 170 Ghana cedis for the admission forms for the 2017-2018 academic year. But for this year, that's the 2018-2019 academic year, we're looking at 200 Ghana cedis. So that's it for the public universities. But with the private universities, they're comparatively cheaper, and with the Valley View University having taken 100 Ghana cedis for the 2017-2018 academic year, having increased it by 20 cedis to 120 cedis this academic year. Wisconsin to 100 Ghana cedis, but increasing theirs by 30 cedis to 130 cedis for this academic year. And all this, it's worth noting that somewhere in 2016, for the 2016-2017 academic year, the University of Ghana, for instance, received about 35,630 applications, and of this number, they were able to admit only 51% by rejecting about 17,000 plus qualified admissions. And of course, the issue was regarding limited facilities. We had similar issues at the University of Cape Coast, who also were able to admit just a little below half of their intake. I think they took about 5,000 qualified applicants out of the about 13,000 plus applicants qualified. That's the operative word, qualified applicants from that batch. So that's a little bit of statistics regarding university admissions intake and, of course, the 4 admission forms. Over to you, Alfred.
Thank you, Solly. So the Minister of State at the Institute of Tertiary Education, the presidency, indicated that they were going to meet the Vice Chancellor's Council to deliberate on this. And the meeting was postponed last week, only for them to hear of an increase of these funds. Peter Anti is the Executive Director of the Institute of Education Studies. He joins us via Skype. Mr. Anti, good evening to you. Thank you very much for your time this evening. Now, this directive will come in as good news for the public because, yes, obviously you're going to be buying the forms at the same price as last year, all other things being equal, if it's not increased. But then how about the effect it would have on the universities, especially when this has been identified as a source of generating funds for them internally?
Good evening. Thank you for your question. Yes, I think that the Minister of State in charge of tertiary education is very well aware that somewhere last year, about 5 prominent personalities in the country called on the government to rescind its decision to take 34% of its internally generated funds. Prominent personalities like Professor Amate of the University of Professional Studies, the Eugene, University of Ghana Vice Chancellor, UTAG, Professor Stephen Adai, and even Otumfuo Asantehin, they all called on government to rescind its decision of taking 34% of the internally generated funds from the public universities. This is because the major source of funding to these public universities is the internal generated funds when you put aside government subvention. And over the years, we all know that government subvention have delayed. Sometimes the university administration and the management will need to pay their workers by the internally generated funds, and later on when government subvention comes in, then they are able to use that for other things that they are supposed to do. So as government continue to take 34% of these funds, the universities will also continue to find ways and means to increase the internally generated funds so that they will be able to do the other things that they are supposed to do internally. Get Fund is not doing much on campus in terms of infrastructure, in terms of international organizations that are supposed to support the universities. The money is not coming, and there are a lot of challenges that the university management is facing. So if the government really wants to control the kind of sources of finance for these public universities, the first point that the government should look at is to rescind this decision of taking 34% of the internal generated funds by these universities. When that is done, then we will know that there's a clear way for us to discuss this particular challenge.
Okay, Ptenti, thank you very much for your thoughts this evening. I'm grateful. Ptenti is the Executive Director of the Institute of Education Studies, sharing thoughts there on Skype.
You're still watching News 360. Let's do some other stories. And President Akufo-Addo is expected to meet the press tomorrow, January 17. The news team sought the views of some Ghanaians on what issues journalists should be asking the president tomorrow.
There have been promises of the free SHS program, one district, one factory, planting for food and jobs, and a host of others. Now President Akufo-Addo subjects himself to press interrogation. How do you feel the president has performed, and what questions would you ask the president if given the chance?
The one district, one factory, which as at now, 1 year has passed. We have not seen any sign. And one village, one dam. So far, I've not seen any sign.
So far, so good. He's done well. But I think the electricity bills that he did just for the workers, he should extend it to we, the citizens that are using it at home, so that we can also benefit from it. How has it been so far for him ruling the country? Does he really pay attention to the negative side, or he's just been there? Like, does he really pay attention to what people say? Like the propaganda, like NDC, like all the time they are against him. Does he really care? If he does, what does he do about it?
We should continue for free education. That's a free education. We like it. We appreciate it. So we are encouraging that we should do it more.
Yeah, I see no negative so far. I just hope that whatever good thing I have sent that maybe he will do it for Ghanaians. I pray to God that maybe God should help me for him to fulfill his promise to Ghana.
My only concern is that what is he doing about the students that have completed university and still don't have jobs. That's my only concern, because I still know a number of graduates that don't have jobs. So I will only plead on our president to do something about the youth employment.
Things I'm seeing, because things I'm seeing in Ghana here, like some things are very costly for Ghana. It's too expensive. Like some things we are buying, some eating, something we are buying for eating, or all those things. So it's too costly. So they need to do something about it. So let us bring something down.
Okay, so a lot of you have already started connecting with us on social media, specifically on Facebook. That's TV3 Ghana. Look out for it. Now, Davidson Owu says the only question I would ask is comparing rent and electricity tariff. Which one is higher, you say? Evans Yaboa says, I hope this time he called the sporting fraternity. That's one issue also that we're going to be expecting to look out for as he meets the press tomorrow. And Silvanos Azar says he should encourage Ghanaians about the free SHS. The problems are too much. You say, I love him, by the way. Thank you. This one also here says that Richard Tete Marcus Rashford, I'd like to know when is one district, one factory beginning? That's your question. Okay. So Emmanuel Ampon says how far the Ministry of Special Development Initiative has gone so far. That's Emmanuel Ampon. There are lots of your comments coming through, and just keep them coming. We'll be rolling them out in our subsequent bulletins. Let's
Thanks for staying with us on News 360. Good evening, time for business. My name is Nanekia Mensah. Starting with tonight, the Center for Social Impact Studies is asking governments to immediately explore avenues to halt the intended layoff of more than 2,000 workers by Goldfields Ghana. Executive Director Richard Kojo Elima says the move by Goldfields Ghana to retrench the workers comes as a surprise and will have dire implications on the economy. According to the Center for Social Impact Studies, the company has not been fair to the government of Ghana In a statement, they argued among all the mining companies operating in the country, Goldfields Ghana enjoys more benefits, including tax incentives from government. Goldfields Ghana has explained the retrenchment is necessary as it is adopting a new business model that will see it subcontracting portions of its operations to some qualified contractors. This decision, the centre described as disappointing.
We expected the company to have, increased their investment, expanded their operations, and even employed a lot more of the workers. So for them to do a turnaround and then tell us they are going to lay off more than 2,000 of their workers, for us, it's a betrayal of the trust the Ghana government reposed in them by signing the development agreement with them.
This is the second time in 3 years that the mining firm has embarked on such a massive retrenchment exercise. In 2014, it's laid off about 400 of its workforce over similar concerns. The Ghana Mine Workers Union petitioned Parliament over attempts by Goldfields Ghana to lay off about 2,000 workers and re-employ them on a contract basis. According to the union, the move by the company amounted to unfair labor practice. Currently, the layoff is awaiting a court ruling in February this year. Ahead of the ruling, Executive Director at the Center for Social Impact Studies, speaking via Skype, said government should take action.
We expect government to take a decision that will be in the sovereign interest of the country. That is number one. Secondly, we expect government to consider the ramifications of the retrenchment exercise on the local economy of Kapa, on the people within the catchment area of the mine, there are far-reaching consequences. And we expect government to take all these into consideration before taking a decision on it.
And if you have a full tank in your vehicle and haven't visited the pumps yet, well, price of fuel has increased at the pumps. At the second pricing window, prices have gone up between 3 and 5% at most of the filling stations. Well, with the unstable world markets prices, consumers should expect another likely increase in coming weeks. The Institute of Energy Security, IES, says the developments can be attributed to the increase in crude oil prices on the world market.
Our level of inventory within the period, we had about 120,000 fuel coming in. So in the next few weeks, consumers will be okay. There won't be any challenge with fuel supply. With our CD, the CD depreciated. The last average was 4 cedis 41 pesos. As we speak, is 4 cedis 51 pesos. That's a depreciation of about 2.2%.
Our checks at the pumps earlier saw Total increase its prices to 4 cedis 63 pesos for diesel and 4 cedis 99 pesos for petrol. Goil was yet to see any price change at the time of the report, still selling a litre of petrol and diesel at 4 cedis 49 pesos. However, Shell, Petrosol and Maxon have been trading at 4 cedis 67 pesos as at last week. Although some fuel stations are yet to increase prices of their products, indications are clear prices at all the pumps will go up. Richmond Roxon of the IES says with an unstable world market price, Ghanaians should expect more increases in coming weeks.
When it started from 55, some analysts said it wasn't going to go up. It went up to 60 now, $70. The geopolitics, the happenings in the world shows clearly that if we don't take time, the prices of crude oil will still continue to rise, which is going to create problems for the average Ghanaian, because whatever happens on the international market will have an adverse effect on the local market.
Right, so we see the prices inching up, crossing the $70 per barrel mark on the international markets. Well, the price keeps seesawing. This evening, it is at $69.40 a barrel there. But from mid-morning till now, it was ranging around $70 to $71 a barrel. So this is what we are seeing here. On the world markets, finished products prices have also increased by 6%, and that of diesel too, prices have increased on the international markets by 6%. Now from 54 to 70%, 6% increase. So if we don't take care, in the coming weeks, we'll be seeing more price hikes, but let's pray that doesn't happen. That will do for business for now. News 360 continues. Good evening.
Hello, good evening. Time to run by you the latest sporting headlines for the day. And let's start with former Ghana international John Pencil, who has set his sights on managing the Black Stars in future as he attempts to resurrect his coaching career from the lower divisions of Ghana football. The former Kaiser Chiefs assistant started his stint as coach of Vision Academy this week and has set the bar high. I went to meet him earlier today.
Okay, Blue, come on. Leg, one, go.
The environment is a far cry from what John Pencil was used to his whole career, but strikingly similar to how he started a career that would later take him to 2 World Cups, 5 Africa Cup of Nations, and the high point of the English Premier League. Basic structures, a pitch that looked like it would do with some green and basic cones, but none of that has slowed Pencil down.
For me, it's an opportunity, and also it's a big challenge that I'm throwing to myself, that I will make sure that I bring these boys and then bring this team to the world map for people to also understand that it doesn't matter where you come from, but it's how you do it, how you finish it.
He backed out encouragement and admonishment in equal measure and kept screaming out instructions. The former Ghana international is attempting to make a name for himself as a coach at Vision Academy after returning home from a previous job as assistant at South African side Kaiser Chiefs. He is hoping all that traveling and exposure to different coaches and different cultures will come in handy as he aims to take his coaching career to the highest level possible.
One day, well, if the opportunity comes in the future, but as of now, you know, I'm a young coach and I'm still learning. Like I said, I will meet Coach Apia. Just want to also understand how to coach a national team like that. You know, Black Stars team is not like a club side. It's a huge team and it's a big team in the whole world, not only Africa. So yeah, when the opportunity comes in the future, I will take it.
Messi, come on.
You're welcome back. Let's get into some other stories then. And Akwesi Frimpong says he has been overwhelmed and encouraged by the reaction after his place at the 2018 Winter Olympics was confirmed. The 32-year-old will become only the second Ghanaian to appear at the Games and the first black to compete in the skeleton event, and told TV3 Sports from his training base in the USA that he's prepared to give it his very best.
I'm still shaken of joy. I'm still shocked, but I'm so grateful to God. You know, when I heard the news, the first thing I did was to wipe away a little bit of a tear. I went to kiss my little daughter, who's 8 months old, and my wife, for all their unconditional support. It has been an overwhelming accomplishment so far, but the work is not done yet.
And you're also the first black who will compete in this skeleton event. Are you there just to make up the numbers, or you're hoping you don't become one of those pioneers in events who just get remembered for being there?
First when I started the whole journey, my goal was always 2022 in Beijing, because I realized that in this sport, it takes about 4 or 6 years to really learn how to steer the sled down. I can do the pushing part because of my speed and my strength, but I always knew that I really want to make the Olympics and really accomplish something big and put a good performance there, because in 2022, I want to go for a medal for Ghana. Ghana has never won a medal before in the Winter Olympics, but not even in the continent of Africa. So now that I have the opportunity to already get the experience in 2018, I'm going there to get the experience, to break barrier. Not just going there to be, the first black male skeleton athlete ever in history to go ahead first, but I'm going there to gain the experience to eventually 2022 come back with a medal for Ghana.
The Amakum-born Akwesi Frimpong. Then you can hear a bit more of the interview, plus John Pencil later in Sports Unlimited. Let me just quickly run by you. The GAG G8 competition organized by the Ghana League Clubs Association is entering the semi-final tomorrow. 2 games. I figure there's only one place to look forward to. Asante Kotoko versus Accra Hearts of Oak. Massive game. Both sides recovered from opening day losses to reach the semi-final. They meet in Kumasi. And then Mediama Sporting Club are playing against Dreams FC. The winner of the Hearts Kotoko will play the winner of Mediama versus Dreams FC. We're bringing you updates on all those games as and when they happen on News 360 tomorrow, same time. On to the international scene and a bit of transfer rumor. And Manchester United will not sign Alexis Sanchez unless Henrik Mkhitaryan agrees to move in the opposite direction. That's according to Mkhitaryan's agent Mino Raiola. Mkhitaryan was left out of the squad to face Stoke on Monday night, with Jose Mourinho admitting there are doubts about his future. He has been linked with a move to Arsenal, with Sanchez going the other way.
Well, in entertainment news tonight, 5 music legends in the country have been presented with 10,000 Ghana cedis each as part of a welfare package from the Musicians Union of Ghana, Musiga. At the presentation ceremony in Accra, the president of Musiga, Bice Nana Kufuor, said the Asian Musicians Welfare Fund, AMWEF, seeks to make lives better for the elderly musicians. The Asian Musicians Welfare Fund was set up in 2013 by the current president of Musiga, Bice Kufuor, to support the many aged and elderly musicians in the country. Since its establishment, the Welfare Fund has assisted some aged musicians across the country with cash donations. President of Musiga, Bice Kufuor, also known in showbiz circles as Obwo, said the Asian Musicians Welfare Fund has now transitioned to become an endowment fund.
The Asian Musicians Fund is now becoming an AMWEF endowment fund. The focus is to grow the fund to a certain amount. We have a target of 1 million Ghana cedis. And when we raise them a fund to that amount, then the interest on the fund is what we'll be using to support people.
He expressed appreciation to Media General for the assistance.
They've signed an MOU with us. They are coming together with us to create the avenue for us to call several campaigns, have a mobile money number that people can make donations to, so that the growing of this 1 million of the AMWEF Endowment Fund is realized quicker than we are all anticipating.
The 5 music legends, Nana Ampedu, Oboba J.A. Adolfo, A.B. Krenzel, Joel Aka, and C.K. Man were presented with a check of 5,000 Ghana cedis each and an additional 5,000 cedis investment certificate.
The foresight that Musiga have got through our dynamic and flamboyant president, that they will have to invest half of the money into a bank accounts for us. It's something very, very laudable. I'm very much overwhelmed.
Other speakers at the event, whilst lauding Musiga for the initiative, entreated the union to sustain the support for elderly musicians.
So news just coming in indicates that an oil spillage has just occurred or been identified in the seas at Ada Ayiboy in the Ada East district of the Greater Accra region. Now, according to the residents, a container was washed ashore in the early hours of Tuesday and disappeared later in the afternoon, leading to the discoloring of the sea water, as you can see on your screens right now. It was suspected that the container contained dirty oil. This was said to have resulted in pollution offensive odor in the area. The polluted water is said to be spreading along the coast. So that's just a portion of the polluted seawater you see on your screens right now. This is a story we're just getting from the Ada East district of the Greater Accra region. We're going to be staying a lot more on this and bring you a lot more details and reactions from the Environmental Protection Agency. Let's go on to some international news.
The former president of Zimbabwe, Robert Mugabe, is to appear before Parliament over $15 billion missing diamond. The former president in 2016 made allegation that $15 billion worth of diamond revenue went missing. Parliament's Mines and Energy Portfolio Committee, sitting on Monday, chaired by Northern MP Tempa Liswa, has concluded that Robert Mugabe must provide further explanation on how the diamond revenue went missing. Nigeria's military says it has released 244 repentant Boko Haram suspects who have undergone rehabilitation. The authorities say they have been de-radicalized and can re-enter society, but critics are skeptical about whether they have repented. The group, which includes women and children, has been handed over to the governor of Borno State, an area badly affected by Islamist violence. Some 20,000 people have been killed in Boko Haram's 8-year insurgency. The army released the suspects as part of activities marking Armed Forces Remembrance Day.
Oh, that's it for the news this evening. Came to you live from a news hub here at Adesawe in Kanda. On behalf of the rest of the team, we're grateful that you stay with us. My name is Alfred Akansi.
And I'm Solis Rose Corte. Good evening.